Things are gonna get crazy!
Most everyone's mad here.
Greetings and welcome everyone to another exciting episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. I hope you all had a very wonderful week so far. I know I definitely had. I did work hard, but I also enjoyed some of the summer fun, even though technically summer hasn't started yet, but the weather of it has definitely arrived. But anyways, before I get things started, there are two things that I would like to go and bring up before we really get into this episode. First off, I want to go and pay my respects to the family in London, Ontario that unfortunately has been killed due to a white terrorist attack. For those of you who haven't heard, not too long ago, there was this white supremacist, this like whack job of a person who unfortunately killed a family of Muslims in London, Ontario. And yes, the person was targeting them because they were indeed Muslim. Unfortunately, all the family has passed away with the exception of one 9-year-old boy. So it really goes to show that unfortunately, yes, even in a place like Canada, which is often viewed to be a highly tolerant country, there is still this white supremacy problem that is going on, and it has its own set of problems of bigotry and hatred. And I should definitely know, because even as someone from Montreal, I start to see on a regular basis where downtown there would regularly be these protests for anti-masks and against these laws in order to protect us from the pandemic. And they're pretty much as bad as what conservatives accuse of Black Lives Matters for. You know, like these anti-maskers would fight against the police. They end up being highly violent. Some looting would be involved. So you can see where the hypocrisy can come from there. So yeah, we definitely do have our own brand of nationalist problems here in Canada. But there is one more thing that I do want to say, and also I want to pay my respects to the family. May they rest in peace, and hopefully this brand of bigotry and discrimination can be fought against even here in my home country of Canada. But anyways, there is one bigger thing that I do want to announce, and that is regarding the future of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. And it was something that I've thought about for a while, and ultimately I feel like this could probably be for the best for myself and a decision made for my own well-being, and that is regarding the fact that I am officially going to be moving the live streams of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. Normally, I would be doing these every Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern, like I am doing here. I've been doing it for the past 3 years with this podcast. But I ultimately decided, you know what, I think it's time that I should be moving it to another time, and I have selected that from now on, AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast will be airing every Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern here on Twitch. And the reason why I decided to go and do this is because I want to try to free up my time during the weekend, because as you guys probably know, the weekend is a time where most people would go and relax, where after having a busy week working and doing all their things to, you know, make money and to keep their time occupied, the weekends are usually a moment where they could just sit back and relax. And I don't want to deprive myself from those moments of relaxing by doing more work. Now, keep in mind, I love doing these podcasts, and that's why I'm still doing them, but I don't want to try to inconvenience myself as well as my friends and family from having time to relax or to organize something a little bit special. So that's why I want to move it to a time where it's where it's a little more convenient, where it is a time where normally I would work, and it would be better off that I would do it during the weekday so that my weekends can pretty much be flexible. And if my friends and family want to organize something fun, something special, something to get out of the house, then I would be more than happy to go and join them, because I'll definitely have time to do so. Now, I am definitely aware that this would mean that I'll probably be losing some of you guys during the live streams, that the viewership won't be as strong, but I feel like for my own well-being and for the time for my friends and family, and by the way, thank you so much, Daniel Vasquez, for the subscription. But anyways, going back to what I was saying, that at least for the sake of myself and also for my friends and family, it would be, it's probably for the best so that I can have more time to do what I want, rather it be working on other projects, or that I can have time to actually get out of the house and actually see some friends, see some family, and do something a little bit special. So with that said, what does that mean for the future of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast? What is the future schedule going to look like? Well, like I said, the live streams that are happening on Twitch, they will happen every Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern. And by the way, it will be effective starting the next episode. So the next one, the next episode that will happen, it's not going to be next week on, it's not going to be immediately next Monday, but the Monday after that. It won't be on the 14th, it'll be on the 21st. And they will happen every Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern from there. Then following afterwards, immediately once after the podcast is over, during that time, that's when I will go and upload the audio version onto podcast services like Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and many, many more. Then following afterwards, for the YouTube versions, if you do watch these on YouTube, what's going to happen is that instead of uploading them on Mondays, I will be uploading them on Wednesdays. And if ever I would have a highlight, then I would just upload that on Tuesday. So again, just to clarify, the live streams will be happening on Monday at 4 p.m. Then after that, the YouTube version, the full episode, will be on Wednesdays. And if I do have a highlight, they will be on Tuesdays. Now, does anybody have any questions? Anybody in the chat wall, if you have a question regarding the future schedule, now would be the time. Do you want to know, is there anything you would like to know? Let's see. Any questions? Just want to double check. No? Okay, some people are fine with it. How should I do when I have the chance to see the next one on, how should I do when I have the chance to see the next one on Monday? I mean, it's going to be the same thing. That's the only big change. It's still going to be the same show. It's just the schedule is going to change. That's the only change. Let's see. Will you include animation stories that happen on Monday if they are major? Yeah, definitely. And I think there are even some benefits that I could have by doing them on Mondays instead of Saturdays. Like on Mondays, when things do get better at the box office, I'll be able to go and highlight them on the podcast. So like they'll be out fresh and new, so I could talk about like the latest movies and how they have done during the opening weekend. So yes, I will do that. Kind of like in the same way that I would do so here. Like if there's a major story that broke out on Saturday morning, then I would definitely cover them right now. Let's see. What does that mean for Saturday? Is anything going to fill the void or not? No. Basically, it's going to be like how Mondays are. But anyways, yeah, I believe, let's see. I believe Monday works better because that's expected to be the time that I'll be back working from my usual job. By moving to Monday, it allows me to remain caught up with the downtimes, as Mondays are more calmer than Saturdays. All right, so I think with that said and done now, so now that we have everything cleared up, I think it is now time that we can go and start off this. So let me go into the chat wall, and may I ask everybody, are you ready for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast? Are you all prepared? Let me hear it, folks. Let's see. Yes. All right. That's beautiful. We see people are prepared. That's great. And now with that said, it is now time that we shall go and get things started. Actually, let me just double check on one more thing. There we go. Now we can get things started. And with our first story that we have here today, actually for our first set of stories, What I got is actually a bunch of trailers. We'll do a little bit like last week, where we will be looking at a whole bunch of new trailers that have popped out throughout the week, and just do like a little review and just have a quick discussion about them. And hopefully, what I am hoping for this week is that we do not crash in the middle of it. I just pray that this does not happen again, and I am taking every precaution to make sure that it does not happen and my computer can be still good. But speaking of computers crashing and having malfunctions and stuff like that, it looks like this week it proved that I was not the only one who faced that problem. A trailer has shown that there's also another unlucky kid that has gotten a new piece of technology, and it really is pretty screwy. So, with that said, let's go into our first trailer as we take a look at the upcoming animated feature, Ron's Gone Wrong. So let's go ahead and check that out.
Imagine a device that is the fastest, most advanced, complex piece of technology in the world. But what if it wasn't just a device? What if it was your new best friend?
Hi!
Introducing the Bebop. It connects you to the world like never before. Express yourself. Imagine without limits. Create, play, and enter a new world of friendship. The Bebop. Let's make friends.
Wow.
Happy late birthday, Barney.
Oh, Dad, you got me one!
Hi, insert registered name. I am your...
My Bebop. Bebop. The Bebop. There's something wrong with it. It's not meant to do that.
I'm not meant to do that. I am for making friends. Does Barney need friends?
Well, yeah. Or, fun fact, he will not survive middle school.
Where are you going?
Addis Ababa,
You're supposed to stay
Amsterdam,
within 6 feet
Arizona.
of me.
6? I am insert registered name's best friend out of my box.
And that is Ron's Gone Wrong, the premiere animated feature from a new studio by Locksmith Animation. So yeah, we got a new animation contender coming in, and they are going to start things off with Ron's Gone Wrong, and they've already made a major deal with 20th Century in order to go and produce new animated features for them. In fact, it's funny with Ron's Gone Wrong, it went through quite an extensive history. Like, it took them years in order to go and make it, of course, like any other animated feature, but the journey in order to make it happen and in order to be distributed, that's definitely another, where I believe it started off at Paramount, but then suddenly it made a deal with Fox, and then things did get a little bit more complicated after the whole Disney-Fox acquisition thing, and then, well, the pandemic happened, of course, and then we've made it to finally here, where now Ron's Gone Wrong got a new release date, and it will be coming out in October. And I'm gonna be very honest, I look at this and I feel like it is very charming. Like, there's a part of me that just can't really hate this. And the one thing it really does remind me is if you take Big Hero 6 and you remove any of the superhero elements of it and just focus on the relationship between the robot and the kid. Like, imagine a movie that's just nothing but Hero and Baymax. That's kind of what you're basically getting with Ron's Gone Wrong here. And that's the one thing that I really do like about this, and the best thing about it is the promise of having a lot of heart, where we see the bond of this outcast kid, well, like basically the typical Tim Burton protagonist, where like he's a loser, he's an outcast, he doesn't have much friends, like he's a lot more different, and like you could tell that he's a lot more geeky, where he's into space and stuff like that. But then he finally gets a friend, where he finally gets his Bebot, and unfortunately, it's actually a bit of a broken one, so he's just doing whatever he can in order to make the most with what he got with this defunct Bebot. And, like, I could see where it could be very sweet, it could be very heartfelt, and it could be a lot of fun, actually. Not the most original idea that I've heard, like, we've heard these types of stories before, but it definitely seems like the kind of story where, like, it would have a lot of heart, it would have a lot of tender moments, and, like, if done right, it could really pack an emotional punch. But there is one thing that does concern me about this, and it's not necessarily the movie itself that I am concerned about, but it's mainly because with audiences' reaction of it. And I'm already seeing this right now, where a lot of people aren't necessarily really that into it, and that's because a lot of people are comparing this to the Mitchells versus the Machines. Now, like I said, this has been in production for a very long time, and there is no way that this thing is a ripoff of the Mitchells versus the Machines, considering that this has been in production even before Disney acquired 20th Century Fox. But it's not going to stop people from making those comparisons regardless. Like, even if you do go into the comment section of the YouTube video here of Ron's Gone Wrong, there are already some people who are making those comparisons, saying that it looks like a mix of Mitchells versus the Machines and Big Hero 6. Or even this one from a YouTuber, Isaac Carlson, saying, I think it's going to be hard for this film to beat the Mitchells versus the Machines, since we just saw an absolutely beautiful film featuring a coming-of-age story featuring a variety of intelligent robots. And that absolutely is true. And I mean, like, yeah, there definitely is some comparisons that you do see with this film and The Mitchells vs. the Machines. And yeah, I definitely do agree. The Mitchells vs. the Machines is a great film, and definitely Sony's funniest animated feature, and one of their best animated films, no doubt about that. But because of the theming is so similar, having the aspect of featuring robots, and like on top of that, you could tell with Ron's Gone Wrong that it does have a bit of this commentary on society, like this social commentary about how people are so dependent with their technology. Like, you could see the parallels between those two films. And unfortunately, in the case of Ron's Gone Wrong, that's going to be a very tough act to follow after being presented, coming out in theaters just after the Mitchells versus the Machines, because like even by this time, like it's gonna be coming out in a while, in like a few months in October, but still a lot of people will still go and make those comparisons to the Mitchells versus the Machines. And with how great that film was released, it's gonna put this at a disadvantage. People might just consider this as a watered down Mitchells versus the Machines and will unfortunately give it a pass. And I mean, this is unfortunately something that you can't stop people from doing, because like people will always do comparisons no matter what. And even this year alone, we have seen people do that a lot. And it kind of hinders the reputation of some animated films. Like, for example, Raya and the Last Dragon. That's a movie that I absolutely adore, and so far one of my favorite animated films this year. But there are still a whole bunch of people who criticize it and disregard it as nothing more as a ripoff of Avatar: The Last Airbender. And there are some cases when some people do so, they end up getting in trouble. Case in point, look at Lindsay Ellis. And then there's also one example that is just recent, which is Wish Dragon, the latest animated film from Sony Pictures Animation that just got released on Netflix. And you know for a fact that, for better or for worse, there are so many people who are comparing this to Disney's Aladdin. Like, not just looking at it as just another adaptation of Aladdin, but taking a lot of elements specifically from Disney's Aladdin. And from there, like, considering that not many people know about Wish Dragon anyways, those that do, a good chunk of them are not going to care about Wish Dragon because of those comparisons to Aladdin. So that's the one thing that I am worried about with Ron's Gone Wrong, is just the fact that there will be those group of people that won't give this a chance because they'll just assume that this is just another Mitchells versus the Machines and just stay at home and just watch Mitchells versus the Machines on Netflix. And I'm worried about that because so far from what I'm seeing, this actually looks pretty nice, and I really do like this trailer. By the way, one thing I really gotta give it credit is the fact of the way that it starts out like an Apple commercial. Like, the opening of this, I just find it to be really clever, where like it starts out by selling us this Bebop and presenting it all as this Apple-like commercial, presenting their latest product and showing us how fun the Bebop can be. So that I do find really clever of this trailer to do. So, you know, a really nice move. And I really do see the heart of it. And, you know, it does look really, you know, the animation, I won't say it's spectacular. Nothing about it really does stand out. But it is, you know, it is nicely animated and it really does look like it has a lot of heart. So overall, for me, I'm honestly pretty optimistic with this one. It actually looks like something that it won't be as action-packed or as extreme as either Raya or Mitchells versus the Machines, but it looks like something that could be actually pretty nice and pretty heartfelt. And if you guys are anticipated to actually go and check out Ron's Gone Wrong, then all you gotta do is wait until the movie comes out in October. And not just that, released in October in theaters. So, with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I would like to ask you all, what do you think about Ron's Gone Wrong? Do you guys think this is actually worth it? Would you want to see Ron's Gone Wrong? Are you a little iffy about it? Are you not sure if you want to see this? Let me know what you think. Let's see now. Ron's Gone Wrong looks very good. Did you know that the day that the trailer for this movie was released was International Best Friends Day? Well, anyways, this looks very good. It reminds me of Big Hero 6 meets the movie Onward. They both were very fun and engaging movies, and this movie is really going to push the PG rating to its limits, so that it's going to be good to hear that the news as well. Definitely looking forward to this when it comes out on Disney Plus / in theaters. Actually, this is not, so far from what I'm hearing, this is not the case that Disney is going to do those simultaneous release, or there is no confirmation that they're doing so yet. So far, the only plan that they have with it is just to put it out in theaters. That's the only thing that they have so far. No plans yet if they're going to simultaneously release it on Disney Plus. Let's see. I was kind of iffy at first, but I gotta say, I'm sold. The animation looks solid, though the character designs are a little weird. I like the relationship between Barney and Ron, and I like the 6 feet joke, even if it's a telling sign that it was a pre-2020 script. Yeah, that is true. I did laugh at that too. Also, if you want another comparison between this and Mitchell's, here's another fun fact. This film also stars Olivia Colman. Really? Is she gonna be... hold on a sec. Is Olivia Colman going to be playing a human, or is she going to be playing, like, a Bebop? That would actually, that would honestly be interesting to see, like, another form of comparison where we see Olivia Colman in another prominent animated feature where she stars as this piece of technology, you know? That would be fascinating. Or who knows, maybe it's like a sudden cameo from Pal herself. Like, just to add that massive plot twist. Okay, let's see what we got here. I'm honestly not that interested. I really like the animation, and it reminds me of the Netflix movie Next Gen, but it honestly feels pretty generic, and I feel like it's gonna follow a bunch of cliches. Case in point, Hoodwink 2. On a side note, the humans look weird. I'm not gonna be in a rush to see it. I'm gonna wait for Sonic 2 instead. Okay, well, oh, no. Hoodwink 2 is another thing altogether. I would, like, just from, like, I know I haven't seen this movie yet, but I would not immediately compare this to Hoodwink 2. That thing is like a frickin' trash fire. My God. I almost feel insulted that you would compare this to frickin' Hoodwink 2. Or even using Hoodwink 2 as a comparison is a massive insult. Let's see now. Ron kind of looks like a combo of Baymax and Gur from Invader Zim. Since the robot is a character with a lot of glitches, I wonder if this is kind of a metaphor for some parents who have children with generic birth defects, either physically or mentally, but they try coping with them by helping them having a good life. I would say that's kind of like reading too much into it, but I mean, if that works for you, then go right ahead. You know, you do you. Let's see what else we got here. Do we have any? Okay, fine. I'll go with you. I don't know why, but I was getting some major Spies in Disguise vibes from this trailer. But other than that, I think this looks cute. The animation looks like The Big Hero 6, which is one of my favorite movies. But other than that, I will check this out. And it's one of my most anticipated movies of the year. The kid kind of reminds me of Walter Beckett. You know, I think you might have hit the nail on the head, actually. Like, it's not exactly like it, but it is true. When you do look at the character designs, there's something about it that does remind me a bit of the style that they tried to do in Spies in Disguise. You know, a bit of that cartoonier aesthetic, a bit of like those exaggerated proportions, a little bit like that. Like, if you would put this kid, if you would put Barney in Spies in Disguise, he would not look out of place. I will give it that. I'll read one more comment before we jump into the next one. Let's see. The movie sounds very promising, but I'm worried if this movie will suffer because of the comparisons of Big Hero 6 and Mitchell's vs. the Machines, so I hope it doesn't suffer because the comparisons like what happened with Raya and Wish Dragon. Hope it comes out on its own and say that it's decent. Oh, actually, hold on. I'll do one more story. One more comment. I don't know about anyone else, but I was getting some major next-gen vibes from this trailer. But other than that, I think this looks cute, the animation looks nice, and I liked a lot of the jokes, especially the 6 feet apart joke was funny. But other than that, I will definitely be checking this out when it eventually comes out. And remember, folks, the movie will be released in October, so if you are anticipated for it, then mark your calendars. Okay, so moving on to our next trailer that we got here, we got something that would be even more anticipated. If you're not excited for Ron's Gone Wrong, then I know for a fact that you will be hyped up for this series in particular. In fact, this was one of the first major shows that has been announced for Disney+, and we have been waiting a while to know, like, when is it coming out? When are they actually going to bring this out? But finally, the time has come that we not only will have a release date, but we have our first major look at Netflix's upcoming anticipated animated series, Monsters at Work.
Actually, we don't scare anymore. Now we're laugh power. Sorry about that.
They're putting you two in charge.
Just kidding.
It's laughter we're after.
We're gonna need to find a couple of hundred more funny monsters.
Excuse me, Tyler Tuskman, official scarer.
What? Scarer?
You're no longer hiring scarers?
Scarers are out. Jokesters are in.
Is this a joke?
Report to Miffed.
Yeah! Home sweet home. Meet the new guy, Tyler Tuskman.
Hi.
We were best buds in
We
college.
just had that one class together.
Yeah, but it was special.
We didn't actually speak. What exactly is Miffed?
What is Miffed?
Ah, now you've done it.
The Monsters, Inc. facilities team.
M-I-F-T.
If a machine needs maintenance, we maintain it. Now!
None of us will ever speak at this again. Nobody saw nothing. Well, nobody saw nothing. I I was told this is a temporary reassignment.
Good for you.
None of us Smifters are going anywhere.
I'll teach all you scary monsters how to be funny.
I'm not sure this was such a good idea.
They just delivered the new kids had an ID. Welcome to Monsters Incorporated.
And that was Monsters at Work, the sequel series to the hit Pixar film Monsters, Inc. And honestly, I just need to go and say this right now. Wow. Honestly, this might be something that, even though Disney has been taking their sweet time to get this out ever since they first announced it, honestly, just by this trailer alone, I believe this could be something that might be worth the wait. And, you know, this might honestly be a little bit of a hot take, but I feel like this might be more worthwhile than Monsters University. Now, I mean, I already reviewed the movie many years ago when it was released in theaters, but I'll be honest, I was not really that much of a fan of Monsters University. I mean, yeah, it has spectacular animation, and I love the way that they did expand the Monsters, Inc. universe and, like, the entire Monstropolis and stuff like that. But the thing is, it's just not really that strong in terms of story and stuff like that. It just felt more like a generic animated kids flick. It didn't really get actually really good until by the third act, and even at that, it was like a little bit too late to fully get invested with what Mike and Sully were up to back then. But in the case right over here, I feel like this is honestly the perfect sequel. I really love all the different directions that they are taking from this, and it really is expanding not just Monstropolis, but it really is focusing a lot on Monsters, Inc. itself. Like, if the main character is not either Mike and Sully, and if it's not like any of the new guys in maintenance like Tyler, then really the main character is Monsters, Inc. itself, the entire corporation. To see how things are after the days of Waternoose, and now that we got Mike and Sully taking control of the entire company, and now that they quit scaring and now they're going for comedy, like the new tagline, it's laughter we're after, that now we're pretty much seeing how like things are, like how the monsters are adapting to this new environment, and also like seeing the reactions of different monsters, like how some have not gotten the memo, and there are some that will have a harder time trying to adapt from being a scarer to a comedy person, and especially the case with Tyler, who dreamed about coming in like to be a scarer for Monsters, Inc., but realized, oh no, they quit doing scares, now they're doing laughter and stuff like that. So, and on top of that, what I also really liked is the fact that the focus is not mainly going to be on Mike and Sully. Yes, Mike and Sully will be prominent characters in the show, but they're not necessarily going to be the main characters. It's actually going to be the cast of the new characters that we're going to be looking into another area of Monsters, Inc. that they're going to go into the myth section, they're going to go into maintenance, and they're going to see the crew that has to do the repairs on the technology, that has to repair the doors, the system to bring in the doors, and all that kind of stuff. And I love that. I love to see like the different areas of Monsters, Inc., to see the different work environments of Monsters, Inc. And one thing that I will say, that when I first saw this trailer, like, I know they're not going to go into that direction, but I feel like Monsters, Inc. would have actually been the perfect IP, or would have been a really good IP, to use that office format. Like, you probably remember back in the last decade when a lot of sitcoms really wanted to adapt to this office-like, this office format that tries to be more of this mockumentary with, like, funny little interviews and stuff like that. I feel like Monsters, Inc. would have benefited greatly from that formula, much more than the Muppets, actually. But the fact that they're not doing that format, like, that was just a little idea that I had in mind, but, like, the fact that they're not doing it is perfectly fine. But going back into this, I really do like how they're actually looking into this other sector of Monsters Inc. and giving the focus of a bunch of new characters, kind of like focusing on the little guys. In a way, it reminds me of what Star Trek is doing right now with Star Trek Lower Deck. They're not focusing on like the primary captains of the Star Trek universe. They're looking at the small guys. They're looking at the red shirts in a way, the little people that are working on maintenance and, that they're like backup and all that kind of stuff. And it's the same thing with Monsters at Work. They're not looking into the big heads of Monsters Inc. or the main characters like Mike, Sully, Randall, and so much more. They're just, they're going to be focusing a lot more on these little people that are just working on maintenance. And that is actually going to be fun to see. And also, one thing I got to comment, Sweet Merciful Neptune, this animation, like, holy crap, they are really going above and beyond with this animation. This is legitimate feature quality. Like, you look at this, and you notice, like, of course, like, the designs, they stay true to the Monsters, Inc. lore, to the Monsters, Inc. universe. And that's, like, one of the most admired things about Monsters, Inc. is the creativity of all the different monsters that they create. And, like, I'm glad to see that still continuing, where they're going to make up a lot more new monsters, along with a lot of, like, recurring ones as well. But also, like, you see the animation, how, like, the movements are so smooth, the textures are so real, like, a lot of it really works out well, and it really looks like a full-on legitimate movie. And this is supposed to be for a series. This is supposed to be for something that has like a whole bunch of episodes, and yet they look absolutely amazing. And like here, just like moving forward here, like you see like with Sully and Mike, that they still look absolutely fantastic. That's one thing I gotta say is it's highly admirable over here. It really is, the animation still stays true to the feature quality that Pixar would normally bring out. So overall, honestly, looking at Monsters at Work, this looks like something that will be worth the wait. It will deliver on what it will promise, and I think, honestly, fans of the original movie will absolutely love this. And I think this is the perfect way to make a Monsters Inc. sequel, to make it not just about like whatever adventures Mike and Sully would go into, but they would really focus a lot on the corporation itself and seeing the different sectors and seeing the different people that work in there. So honestly, even for me myself, like, Monsters Inc. is not particularly my favorite Pixar movie, but there's a lot of things I highly do admire from it, and some things that I will say, like, is expertly done, and, like, definitely explainable. Like, I completely understand why so many people love Monsters Inc. in the first place, and it is still a really, really good movie. Like, even I'm pretty hyped up for this. So, overall, though, I think this will be worth the wait. It looks beautiful, and if you guys are excited for this series to come out, keep in mind that it will be released on July 7th. So, we still got less than a month, but it still looks pretty exciting to see this happen. So, with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I would like to ask you all, what do you think of Monsters at Work? Are you guys excited for the movie to come out? Are you guys not too sure if it's going to be good? Are you excited? Are you disappointed by the trailer? Let me know what you think. Okay, let's see what we got here now. Hold on a sec. As a Monsters Inc. fan, I'm definitely hyped for this. I like the characters so far, the animation, while different, is still dope, and I love how they focus on the company itself, so I'll definitely check it out. Mostly after a filler before the next Loki episode, but if it doesn't end with the company going in the direction it does in the Magic Kingdom attraction, I will quite frankly be disappointed. Oh yes, the Monsters Inc. laugh floor. That would actually be interesting. Honestly, I will give this series bonus points if they can find a way to actually include the Monsters Inc. laugh floor, or if they would go and include some of the characters that would appear in the Monsters Inc. laugh floor. Like, honestly, that would honestly be awesome. Let's see now. I'm really looking forward to this series. I mean, who knew Pixar could make an actual series? And I'm not talking about the Cars tunes, but an actual series. I really love the animation, and I'm really interested in seeing the new characters and the comeback of Mike and Sully. And I see Roz is going to be always watching us. I'm really hyped to see this series and hope this does better than Monsters University. And you said that this is on Netflix when you started this trailer. Oops, sorry about that, folks. Did I say that? I am so sorry. Yes, this is coming out on Disney Plus, not on Netflix. My bad. I'm sorry. Anyways, I'm really looking forward to watching this, especially since my nephew loves Monsters, Inc. and Monsters University. The animation looks amazing to the point that it almost looks exactly like a Pixar movie. The premise is really cute, and it'll be really fun to see not only Mike and Sully again, but to see the new characters as well. Oh yeah, like honestly, like even though it's just the trailer, I'm already digging a lot of these new characters that have come out, like especially but, like, the ones that, like, I'm excited to see is, like, you got Mindy Kaling over there where, like, it really is, like, if you take Mindy Kaling and instead of casting her as Disgust, you cast her as Joy. This is basically Mindy Kaling's Joy over here. And on top of that, like, you also got Henry Winkler as well, playing, like, the other optimistic guy, and he looks like he's gonna be a lot of fun as well. So, I definitely understand the hype, behind the new characters. Let's see, what else do we got here? Now this is what I'm talking about. The animation looks strong, even for TV standards. The characters seem well crafted and likable, and I'm just glad Billy and John have not been replaced as Mike and Sully. This could be the main thing that can boost Disney Plus. I am more than likely to check this out right now, and might be my next show alongside The Simpsons, Loki, and The Mandalorian. Alright, who else do we have here? Honestly, this is what many wish Pixar would do for a follow-up to the original instead of Monsters University. Animation is fine enough, designs are as varied as it is the first entry, voice cast is very promising, definitely a go for me. Also, did Goodman got younger or what? I swear, his voice was lower in the original movie. I'm not sure, but one thing that I can say about John Goodman is that compared to how he was in the first Monsters, Inc., he definitely got skinnier. Have you seen how he was in the Connors? Like, my God, this dude went through a weight program that people are searching for. Like, how did John Goodman lose that weight? That is quite fascinating. I'll read one more comment before we jump into the next story here. Let's see. Wow, this seems quite amazing. I do like what we are. I do like that we are learning more about Monstropolis and Monsters Inc. itself, like showing that changing the power source from screams to laughter could affect some of the monsters. The animation looks amazing, and I'm glad they got Mike and Sully's original voice actors in this. I will definitely watch this when this comes out. So keep in mind, folks, if you are excited that the show actually will be coming to Disney Plus on July 7th. Alright, so moving forward to the next story over here, we are going to be going towards a very different direction. Now, of course, the two trailers I presented to you, that's something that a lot of people have seen with Ron's Gone Wrong and Monsters at Work, even to the point that right now both of them are actually trending on YouTube. But the next one I have here, this is something that for me, I have been waiting for years to see this happen. I am excited for this ever since I have first heard about this project. And now the time has finally come where we will actually see this movie in its completion. Maybe not immediately. It will have to go through its rounds at festivals and stuff like that. But honestly, I'm definitely hyped up for this. So with that said, let's go ahead and check out the trailer for the upcoming Will Vinton documentary, ClayDream. And that was... Whoops, sorry about that. Hold on a sec. That was ClayDream, the upcoming documentary about the life of Will Vinton. And this is brought to us by filmmaker Mark Evans. And you probably remember this more by its original title, Welcome to My ClayDream. And I actually do have a little bit of a history with this movie where you might have remembered a few years ago there was actually this, I believe, either a Kickstarter or an Indiegogo campaign. There was a crowdfunding campaign in order to actually raise money to make this movie. And the good news is that it actually did eventually become a success. And I actually did help out to go and promote this movie, and even did an interview with Mark Evans. You can actually go and check it out on my YouTube channel right there. So that's where well, it's not because of that interview itself, but that's why I'm actually pretty excited for this trailer, and why I've heard about it a lot. It's because of the crowdfunding campaign, and because of the idea of this Will Vinton documentary. And you probably have remembered where several years ago, when I did Animation Look Back, the best of stop motion, I actually did an entire segment dedicated to the life of Will Vinton. And looking into his career, looking at the movies that he has done, especially providing the special effects and providing the animation for movies like The Adventures of Mark Twain, Return to Oz, and movies like the Michael Jackson film Moonwalker as well. Like, there are all those things, like, there's a lot of things that Will Vinton has done. And for those of you who are not familiar with Will Vinton, by the way, this is the guy who is considered the founder of claymation. You know how stop motion is often referred to as claymation? Well, the person who actually did those claymations, like the real claymations, is from Will Vinton himself. And back in the 80s and the 90s, he was the king of commercials. Anytime you see a stop motion animated commercial, it was most likely done by Will Vinton himself. He's the guy who did the California Raisins, the Raisins who would go and sing, "I heard it through the grapevine." And then you would also have the Noid as well. You probably do remember the Noid with the Domino's commercials to avoid the Noid. And then, of course, there are also several other projects. So you probably know about the claymation holiday specials as well. For some people, that is a classic tradition. In fact, like, you do look back, there's even one picture where you do see Will Vinton with all of his other creations as well. Like, just to, hold on a sec, just want to properly back it up a bit. Yeah, like, just to back it up, like, here's a picture with Will Vinton and all of his popular creations. Like, you see, like, here are the dinosaurs from the claymation specials. You also got like some of the characters from the Mark Twain movie with Mark Twain, Huck Finn, Mark Finn, Huckleberry Finn, and Tom Sawyer. There we go. You got the California Raisins, and you even got the rabbit from Moonwalker, which, by the way, Moonwalker is not the only Michael Jackson project that Will Vinton worked on. Even before that, he actually provided some of the special effects for Captain EO, the popular 3D Michael Jackson show at the Disney parks. He was also responsible for those as well. So that's who Will Vinton is. And honestly, seeing a whole like an official documentary all about Will Vinton is honestly pretty exciting to hear about. And when I first heard that the trailer has come out of this, like, that really got me excited, especially with the fact that I believe this weekend it's actually going to make its premiere at the Tribeca Film Festival. But one thing I will say that it was unexpected of this is actually regarding the tone of it all. Like, honestly, when going in, I was expecting something maybe a little bit whimsical. It could be something fun because, you know, it's about the claymation man. We're going to see all these fun characters, you know, like the creation of all the characters like the California Raisins and the Moonwalker Rabbit and the Noid and Mark Twain and all those characters. We're going to have fun with claymation. There will be some moments of drama, but it's mostly going to be a lot of claymation fun. Oh no. Right at the get-go, it's like, oh, wait a minute. It's gonna be this kind of movie. Like, right at the start of it, it just begins with this serious courtroom drama of Will Vinton suing Phil Knight, which back then is an insane thing that you can do. Keep in mind, Phil Knight is one of the co-founders of Nike. Like, you got frickin' Will Vinton, whom at the time his business was doing poorly. He was going after one of the biggest billionaires in America. Like, this dude was going on an insane task, and even at the start of this trailer, you could already feel the tension, like, especially the one moment where you see, like, the two looking at each other, like, this part right here. Like, you could see them glaring at each other, with Will Vinton glaring at Phil, and, like, Phil Knight glaring at Will. It's like, you could see the tension, and it's like, you could see in their eyes, they're looking at each other saying, "Eat a dick. I am going to ruin your life." It is so intimidating, but it's gonna be interesting. Honestly, if this is the tone that they are going with, like, you know what? Like, why not? Like, actually go and spice things up. It's honestly quite a surprise to see this, but like, if there is one section of Will Vinton's life that's actually really interesting, other than his claymation career, it's gotta be this part right over here, where he does accuse Phil Knight of ruining his entire career, of ruining his entire business, where Phil Knight would ultimately end up stealing claymation from Will Vinton, and he would turn his studio into what we know today as Laika. Now, some people could argue by that point, well, I mean, it's kind of like a give or take situation. I mean, Laika is an amazing studio, and even I love Laika, and I love the movies that they put out, especially Coraline and Kubo and the Two Strings, but still, kind of a shady history right over there, but still very much fascinating nonetheless, the fact that, like, we got this part, and, just looking at the timeline right now, like, it really does take it takes more than half of the entire trailer right over here. So it does make me wonder that, it does make me speculate in terms of the movie itself, are we going to see, like, this cross story going on right over here? It's kind of like the book The Disaster Artist, where it's not just one linear story that they're going to go into. They're going to jump from, like, one story to the next, where you got one story where we're going to see the biography of Will Vinton, and then another story where we are going to see this whole courtroom drama unfurl of how things are going to go of Will Vinton versus Phil Knight. Like, that would honestly be an interesting turn with this. But there are still a lot of things that I do know about the documentary that I'm not going to reveal to you, but man, you're going to be in for a real treat. But there's going to be a lot of surprises that they have in store with this, much more than what we see in here. Of course, we're going to have a lot of, and of course, this goes without saying, a lot of interviews as well. There will be a lot of recognizable animation people that will be featured in this as well. So overall, though, this definitely does help me get hyped up for this movie. I can't wait to actually see this myself and to see what Mark Evans ultimately created after his years of after like so many years of developing this movie and being a part of Will Vinton's life during his final years. Keep in mind, like, unfortunately, he did pass away, I believe, back in 2018, I'd say. But from there, I would say, overall, though, I'm really hyped up for this. Like, debatably, I'm probably hyped up for this more than I've seen with Ron's Gone Wrong and Monsters at Work. I mean, like, those are great trailers, and, I'm definitely optimistic for those, but this one right over here, oh man, I can't wait to check this one out. We don't have an official release date yet, and again, technically, it is making its world premiere at the Tribeca Film Festival, but I cannot wait for the public to actually get a chance to see ClayDream. Alright, so with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I want to ask you all, how do you feel about ClayDream? What do you think of this trailer here? Are you guys excited to check this one out as much as I am? Are you guys a little more doubtful? Are you not really interested? Do you want to learn more about Will Vinton? Let me know what you think. Let's see now. Man, this year's becoming a bit of a loving tribute to Will Vinton. Last month, the Noid made a guest appearance in the mobile game Crash Bandicoot on the Run, and now we got a trailer about how Will Vinton went against the Shoe Man. I wonder what would be Travis Knight's thoughts on him, since he is the son of Phil. Yeah, from one thing I can say right now is that I don't think they actually got an interview with Travis Knight in this. Like, maybe, like, there might be a surprise, but I don't think Travis Knight was available to do an interview, especially yeah, maybe like there might be personal reasons as well, but I think it would most likely be the case because like he became a much bigger Hollywood director and a more prominent filmmaker, especially after Kubo and the Two Strings, where he would go on to direct Bumblebee and sign on a few other movies as well. But I don't know, like regarding if Travis Knight would actually be involved with this, I don't think so, and I don't think he would want to go and talk about this, especially when it is a documentary that is more for that is more for Will Vinton. It's set, and then we also got here, having been exposed to the works of Will Vinton through some of his commercials, I can definitely see how he's one of the kings of stop motion. But the insight to the Vinton versus Knight lawsuit is something I really want to know more about. I just hope his lawsuit didn't wind up null and void. But you know what this needs? A disaster artist-esque movie based on the making of Escape from Planet Earth. I'd pay tons for that. Oh, I don't think they recorded anything for it, but oh my god, that would actually be great. I would pay to see an entire making of Escape from Planet Earth movie if they would film a scene where the guy playing Harvey Weinstein would get on his knees and desperately eat the M&Ms instead of like watching the movie during a test screening. I would just pay for that just to see this fat Harvey Weinstein dude like going on the floor. Gotta have my M&Ms. Gotta have my M&Ms. Oh my god, I think those are just rumors, but man, I just wish it's so true. With who Harvey Weinstein actually is, it doesn't sound inaccurate to the man. Oh man, and you know, like it's funny when the other comment did mention that he is that Phil Knight is the shoe man. That's one thing that I gotta say, it's kind of weird that like you're in this serious lawsuit, and then there's this one weird shot where we see like right over here, Phil Knight, the CEO and co-founder of Nike, like he's just sitting there, he's doubtful, and we see his shoes. Where are your socks? It's like, why are you in court wearing these obvious running shoes and you don't have your socks? Is it because you want to show off your Nike tattoo? Like your little Nike ankle tattoo? Is that because of that? It's like, that's the one weird thing that I felt from Phil Knight. It just kind of feels weird where you're in this $3 million lawsuit going against you, and yet you decided to come in court wearing Nike running shoes and not even wearing socks. Maybe you have like those like, you probably have those like heel high like those heel high socks or something like that. But it's like, this is just a weird imagery right over here, especially from one of the founders of Nike. Let's see what else we got here. His is certainly a ClayDream. I feel like this is gonna go in the same route as Street Gang, how we got to Sesame Street. The tone feels pretty intense and the trailer music slams. Oh, definitely, man. I don't know if I'm gonna watch this or not, but I do have one big question regarding this. And that is, are they gonna talk about the commercials he has worked on, most namely the Noid, the California Raisins, and my favorite, the M&M characters? Buddy, if we're gonna talk about Will Vinton, then I think it's an objective fact that we would have to talk about the commercials. Back in the 80s and 90s, again, he was one of the kings of commercials. His advertisements were so iconic, especially the fact that we saw in here all the California Raisins, the Noid, and probably they would get into M&M's as well, since they were it's Will Vinton's studio that actually reinvented the characters of the M&M's to become what we know them today. So yeah, definitely, if you're gonna talk about Will Vinton, then you must talk about those commercials. You have to. Let's see now. Was not expecting a documentary about a claymation animator to feature a courtroom drama. Definitely want to see it. I forget, did the documentary start production before or after Will Vinton's death? I'm curious about these characters, if the trailer, if those were CG, or are those the original character models. Now, I want to see a movie non-doc about the Return to Oz or the Eisner era. Animated movie productions are cutthroat too. I want a biopic film about the brutal animation process. Yeah, one thing I do confirm is that, considering that there are going to be interviews with Will Vinton, this was actually made before the passing of Will Vinton, or at least they started before the passing of Will Vinton. And as for the other things, other elements you're asking here, yeah, like, it would be nice to see, like, an actual movie that is based on an actual animation production. That would be nice. All right, I think I'll read one more comment before we jump into the next story. Let's see. I think I read you already. Oh, you know what? I think I'll go with this. I never really watched much of Will Vinton's works, but I remember watching one of his Michael Jackson music videos, Speed Demon, and not to forget Captain EO. And I just watched a Domino's ad of the Noid for the first time because I first saw him was in the game called Yo Noid. But I never watched The Adventures of Tom Sawyer or The Adventures of Mark Twain, The California Raisins, and more. I'm actually really interested to see what happened in this documentary of Will Vinton. I feel sorry for Will Vinton's death. Rest in peace, Will. So yeah, we don't have an official release date yet, or we don't have an official public release for this, but if you ever get the chance to see ClayDream, please do so, because honestly, from what we see in this trailer, this looks very much exciting. Okay, so moving on to the next story, we actually do have a couple of announcements, but one that I want to focus in particular is from Warner Brothers. Now, Warner Brothers did make some animation reveals, like they did say that they are going to do an anime-based movie, or an anime movie based on The Lord of the Rings, which that will most likely be out on digital and DVD, and maybe they'll do like an HBO Max thing, but anyways, one thing I do want to focus, however, is something that it seems pretty interesting, but man, do I feel absolutely conflicted about this. Like, this one, it's like, it could go either way. It could go well, but considering that what it is based on particularly, yeah, this looks like some pretty dangerous territory. And what I'm talking about is regarding Tom and Jerry. Yes, Tom and Jerry are going to be coming back once again in a brand new animated series called Tom and Jerry in New York. And we don't necessarily have a whole lot of information about it, but basically the whole summary is that it is Tom and Jerry, and they're in New York, and that's the whole idea about the animated series that will be coming to HBO Max, and coming pretty soon, actually. They did reveal a release date of July 1st. And you might be wondering by this point, hold on a sec, Tom and Jerry in New York. Didn't Tom and Jerry already got themselves in New York because of the recent 2021 movie? Isn't that the whole plot of that 2021 Tom and Jerry film, that it's Tom and Jerry but in New York? Well, funny thing you should mention that, because technically, this is legitimately set in the world of that 2021 film. Reading from my source here on Animation Magazine, it states, produced by Warner Brothers Animation, this adventure comedy follows the iconic cat and mouse duo as they settle in their new digs at the Royal Gate Hotel, the setting for their global hit hybrid movie, and unleash mayhem across the big city, inciting hilarious chaos uptown, downtown, and everywhere their manic escapades take them. And that's basically the whole idea that we got here. It's Tom and Jerry. They got a brand new animated series. It will be set in the same world as the 2021 movie, and it will be coming out on HBO Max on July 1st. Now, the thing is with this one is that I just feel absolutely conflicted, because you probably remember a few months ago, I actually did do a review on that Tom and Jerry movie. And I despise that film. I honestly believe that so far it is the worst movie of the year and an absolute insult to Tom and Jerry, where it feels like it has the same quality as those direct-to-DVD movies. You know, this is no different than what we got with, like, Tom and Jerry and Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, but it's really trying to bite off more than it could chew. And especially in regards to that live-action animation hybrid thing, I see what they are trying to do with the animation part, but man, most of it just doesn't really work. It just looks like character mods that they added in to a modded version of Grand Theft Auto or something like that. They just look extremely out of place, and they don't do well in covering the fact that they are 3D computer animated characters instead of trying to emulate the 2D style. It really is that bad. It's just hard to really find anything to say that it is positive. And the fact that Warner Brothers is still trying to cash in more on Tom and Jerry by trying to really expand that world by doing Tom and Jerry in New York. Now we're getting a series based on that movie in particular. It's like, crap, here we go again. Here comes this crap. And honestly, it does make me a little bit worried if some of the bad characters are also going to be coming back as well. Like, are we going to have that Chloe Grace Moretz character come back once again? Are we also going to have those rapping pigeons return? Like, are we going to start this off with the pigeons rapping about Tom and Jerry in New York? Like, we just got to throw in that extra element of, like, pigeons pooping on each other and going, "Can I kick it? Yes, you can! Can I kick it? Yes, you can!" Like, do we need more of those? I don't think so. Oh my god. But, then again, there is a bit of a silver lining to this. There is something about it that I will say, I could see some potential. There are some positives to this. Like, number one, obviously, judging from the poster, this is not going to be live action animation. They're not going to do the same form of style that they did before. This is going to be an all 2D show, which is fine, which is good. They are better off to be kept in that particular style. Just stay within the realm of 2D. Okay, that's definitely fine there. And plus the fact that this is not a movie, this is technically a series. And that is a format that is much more suited than Tom and Jerry. So you don't have to go and create some kind of convoluted plot or try to cram in some random elements that have nothing to do with Tom and Jerry. Oh, excuse me. I didn't expect the burp to come out that strong. But anyways, with Tom and Jerry here, like, yeah, okay, so having it as a series, you can have more time to just focus on Tom and Jerry's shenanigans. You don't have to throw in some convoluted plot about a wedding or, like, the situation that's going on in the hotel. Maybe you'll have a little bit of a synopsis, but at least having it be a series can help things out to just have it be focused on Tom and Jerry. And there is also another thing that, honestly, it might make me a little bit more positive about this, and that is regarding the fact that if they can do, like, the recent cartoons that they have done, then maybe this could turn out good. Because if you guys don't remember, back when the 2021 movie was released earlier this year, at the same time as that film, Warner Brothers actually did put out a couple, I think just a couple, but a few Tom and Jerry cartoons, some brand new Tom and Jerry cartoons that are more in the style of the Looney Tunes cartoons. And they decided to make that as, like, a quick exclusive thing that you could find on HBO Max. And those cartoons were honestly fantastic. They were honestly really enjoyable. They were very well animated. They stayed true to the Tom and Jerry formula, and they were actually funny. They did feel like legitimate, enjoyable Tom and Jerry cartoons. And if they can make this Tom and Jerry in New York feel like those cartoons, then honestly, I'd be all on board for it. You know, I would love to see more of those Tom and Jerry cartoons come back. Yeah, you'll have the setting of Tom and Jerry in New York City, but at least we will still have that style of Tom and Jerry. And that is one thing that honestly I feel like we would need more of, and it would actually help properly reboot Tom and Jerry to bring them back to their former glory. Not bring them back in the mainstream, but bring them back to how they used to be. That iconic cartoon duo and the definitive, like the textbook definition of the cat and mouse chase. So if we can have more of that Tom and Jerry in that style in particular, then honestly, I would be all on board with this Tom and Jerry in New York. But overall, though, I just can't help but feel absolutely conflicted with what they want to do with this Tom and Jerry series. I don't know. It's like, it very much is pretty iffy for me. So it's like, on one hand, I could see the potential where things do work out because it is bringing Tom and Jerry back to their roots. It is just Tom and Jerry being Tom and Jerry, but this time in New York. But with its association with the 2021 movie, which honestly I have massive disgust over, honestly, it just... it's just very conflicting. It's like, I don't know if I want to be on board with this because of that connection, or maybe I'll give this a chance and like there could be some strong elements and it could bring Tom and Jerry back to what they used to do, to like how they used to be, just a cartoon cat and a cartoon mouse chasing each other. So honestly, I don't know, this could really go either way. It's a fascinating thing to look into. But honestly, it's like, it's one of those things, it's like, you never know how this could turn out. This could be like, this could be like the comeback of Tom and Jerry that they needed, or this could be just another piece of disaster like we just got with that movie. So, with that said and done, I would like to go into the chat wall right now, and I would like to ask you all, how do you all feel about Tom and Jerry in New York? Are you guys a little more optimistic? Do you guys want to see this? Are you a little more hesitant from watching this because of its connection to that movie? Let me know what you think. Okay. To be honest, Tom and Jerry in New York is the show that I'm most anticipated for, even before HBO Max's launch. What? I hope it'll be as fun as the previous incarnations, and I hope that it'll be much better than the live-action movie, because that movie is meant to me. I love the 1992 one better. I even hope that the animation will be as good as the previous ones. Alright. Let's see. I was a little bit confused as to, like, how are you excited for this series when, how are you excited even before HBO Max's launch? Like, it was only announced this week. Like, what are you talking about? But anyways, going back to the comments here, I'm kind of conflicted about this. On one hand, this being related to the 2021 movie will not be good for this show's reputation. On the other hand, if they are doing this like the cartoons they release with the movie, they could be quite amazing, especially since being in New York potentially proves with more environments and more opportunities for slapstick comedy. I'll just wait until this comes out. Yeah, I understand. Ultimately, this is kind of a wait and see kind of thing. Let's see. Seeing as I thought the 2021 movie was just kind of meh, I'm a little curious about this. Seeing as I felt like Tom and Jerry were reduced to side characters in the feature, I'll remain hopeful that they're given the spotlight here. Plus the fact that it's fully animated does give it an advantage that they won't have to look like GTA mods where Jerry is one step away from calling out Tom out for his yee ass haircut. Yeah, I'm definitely proud for that joke that I did in that review. It took a lot of effort to get the editing right on that, but still came out strong. Let's see what else we got here. Personally, I really don't like this idea. I absolutely did not like the 2021 film, and if this is going to take place in the same universe as that film, it's not going to work, especially if the human characters are there. Heck, if you ask me, the 90s film is more memorable than the 2021 movie. At least that film has the classic "we've got to have money" meme, so I really don't have any interest in this series, although maybe it won't be the worst thing Tom and Jerry have done. Yeah, exactly. You would have to try very hard to make something that would be considered the worst thing from Tom and Jerry. I mean, there's a lot of strong contenders like the 2021 movie or that Willy Wonka film, or some people might even debate about some of the Gene Deitch cartoons, because though, like, if you've actually seen those, they can be very interesting. I'll just put it at that. Let's see what else we got here. Tom and Jerry have had a rough drive lately with the HBO Max movie and the direct-to-home media films, but the animation looks like the Tom and Jerry show, meaning that it's good enough for TV and does have some potential. Hopefully this stays true to the old cartoons and not the late Gene Deitch's cartoons. I honestly feel like it's going to be a lost cause, but hey, at least it's not going to be like the infamous animated movie, right? Honestly, one thing I do gotta say is that I want to see a cartoon actually do something like the Tom and Jerry Gene Deitch cartoons. Like, actually, like, considering how animators want to be more experimental, I want to see someone have the balls to try to emulate that Gene Deitch style, even with like using people's even using people's mouths in order to provide the sound effects. Like, even when people are jumping, like boink 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 boink, like literally do stuff like that. I want to see someone have the balls to emulate the Gene Deitch style. Let's see. I'll read one more comment before we jump into the final story. Let's see. If you want a Tom and Jerry movie that's actually good, then I recommend checking out Tom and Jerry and the Magic Ring. But as for this new series, I haven't seen the live-action movie, but I will say that a new animated series does have potential, so I think this is one of those things where we'll just have to wait and see. And yeah, I think ultimately that is what we have to do. We just have to wait and see. I mean, it could go either way. It could be amazing, it could be garbage, but we'll see. We just gotta wait and see. And now it is time that we shall go into the grand finale, and this is quite a big one. Now, June is usually the month where we would have some major announcements going on. Like, that's when pop culture would be filled with so many major news without the need of something like Comic-Con or stuff like that. Of course, actually, as I am recording this, technically, E3 has officially started. They just initiated with all the announcements for Ubisoft. And on top of that, next week, we're actually going to have the Annecy International Animation Film Festival. And usually, some announcements would actually go and happen from there. But this week, though, we actually got an additional piece of pop culture announcements popping in the form of a new thing that Netflix decided to create. Hold on a sec. There we go. That Netflix created called Geeked Week. Yes, this is a new thing that Netflix has done where throughout this week, they decided to do a whole bunch of different announcements for many of their anticipated shows that are related to geek culture, more related to pop culture media. And even though they have done a whole bunch of different announcements, what I'm going to do for this one here in AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast is that I'm going to be focusing more on the animation-centric announcements, the ones that are more animation-related. And the first one that I will go and immediately reveal, I'll go into some of the other ones as well, just in case as like a quick honorable mention. But the first thing that I do want to talk about is regarding Cowboy Bebop. You guys probably recall that Netflix is going to do a live-action series based on Cowboy Bebop, and what they have announced is that not only is the composer of the original Cowboy Bebop is going to be coming back, they do have Yoko Kanno going to be returning for this series, but on top of that, we also have gotten our first look at how the live-action actors are going to be portraying the characters. So, you probably see here on Netflix, here we have, oh, well, okay, I guess it's too late. Well, here, no, be quiet. We do have, like, the look, we do have our first ever look of how Spike is going to look like, how Faye Valentine is going to look like, and also how Jet is going to look as well. So, this is our first ever look, and on top of that, they have also revealed that the show is going to be premiering on Netflix this fall. Now, it is pretty vague, but still, they did reveal that during the fall, that's when we are going to see Cowboy Bebop in live action. And on top of that as well, during that day, they did also do some other major reveals, including one of the most anticipated Netflix shows that is going to be coming soon, Neil Gaiman's The Sandman, turning the beloved comic by Neil Gaiman and turn that into a full-on live-action series. Or, yeah, it is going to be a series. But then following afterwards, when you jump onto day 4, that's when they have revealed all their major anime announcements. And this is all the different news that they have revealed of what's going to be coming up in terms of their anime roster. And yeah, you can tell that right now Netflix wants to be a serious competitor, like right up there with Funimation and Crunchyroll, where they really want to go and compete against them. Like, Netflix wants to be even bigger than Sony in terms of distribution of anime internationally. And some of the things that they have revealed in here include a new Resident Evil anime series called Infinite Darkness, to which they also revealed the first few minutes on YouTube. Then they revealed a little clip showing Rodan for Godzilla Singular Point, which that one is actually going to be coming soon in a couple of weeks, actually, on June 24th. Then, well, okay, this one I'm saving for later. And then afterwards, they have revealed a new anime movie called Bright Samurai Sword. Do you guys remember back in 2017, that really stupid fantasy movie Netflix put out? You know, the one with Will Smith and that orc being cops and stuff like that? You know, basically nowadays we could say the inferior version to Onward. Yep, that one is actually going to have an anime, where it's pretty much going to be the same movie. You know, it's going to be the same film as Bright, except this time around, it will be in anime form, and it will be set in feudal Japan, where it's going to be with samurais and stuff like that, where it even says, Izo, Ronin, and Raiden, an orc, work to bring a young elf girl and the wand she carries to the land of elves in the north. That's basically the whole plot line for that movie. Then following afterwards, we got another anime film called Make My Day, in which the only description that Netflix supplied here is, on a cold planet of ice and snow, mysterious creatures suddenly have appeared from the dark undergrounds and have begun to attack the inhabitants. Can humanity survive the terror lurking beyond the horizon? So it might be a little bit of a horror theme right over there with what they're trying to do. But speaking of horror themes, by the way, they actually got a horror-themed anime that's going to be coming soon called Exception. In which they didn't really say anything in terms of the plot, but they did reveal that the story will be done by Hirotaka Adachi, as well as character designs by Final Fantasy's very own Yoshitaka Amano, even giving us a little bit of a preview of one of the monsters that will be an Exception. And as you can probably see right over here, sweet merciful Neptune, yeah, good luck trying to sleep after seeing this thing. Like, yeah, this is going to be in a show on Netflix. I don't know, guys. This is not to say I don't want to watch this because it looks bad. This is going to be terrible. But I'm just going to say right now, I look at this and I say, I hate this. I absolutely despise this thing, and I will not watch this show. That thing looks like it's going to kill me. And I value my sleep. So I want to sleep. And I am not going to watch this series and not look at this traumatic thing. So anyways, going back into the Netflix news, we also got Eden Zero, that's going to be a space-based fantasy anime that will be coming soon on August 26th. Then we actually got the grand return of Shaman King that will be coming back on Netflix with a brand new series on August 9th. Then afterwards, we got a brand new Gundam series that will be coming to Netflix called Mobile Suit Gundam Hathaway. And I double-checked, and unfortunately, no, people, Anne Hathaway will not be making an appearance in the series. And finally, a massive surprise is actually Twilight of the Gods. And this is actually a brand new anime series that will be inspired by the Norse mythology gods. But what's even more interesting than that is not only the fact that they have revealed the cast, but they have revealed that Twilight of the Gods will be brought to us by none other than Zack Snyder. So yes, folks, this is an anime made by Zack Snyder that will be inspired by the gods of Norse mythology. Already a very interesting combo there. And then finally, on the last day of Geeked Week, that's when they made their announcements of all the content inspired by video games. And they've shown a whole lot of them. Of course, they have made a major teaser for Season 2 of The Witcher. Then following afterwards, you probably do recall of their hit anime series based on Castlevania. It has done extremely well on Netflix, so much so that they are reviving it in a bit of a different way, where there's gonna be now a spin-off series to Castlevania. This time around, it will be starring Richter during the 1792 French Revolution, or more specifically, during the French Revolution in 1792. On top of that, we also got a Splinter Cell animated series that will be coming to Netflix, as well as something that is actually pretty interesting called Captain Laserhawk, a Blood Dragon remix. And this is apparently going to be a mini-series. It's said to be a 6-episode adaptation of the Far Cry expansion, Blood Dragon. But what's even more interesting is that apparently this is going to be a bit of a crossover series, where it says here from producer Adi Shankar, reading from my source on IGN, Shankar teased that Captain Laserhawk will be part of a shared universe of Ubisoft properties, comparing it to the Nintendo mashup Captain N, the Game Master. So if we are going to see other Ubisoft properties coming in there, can we please have an episode with the rabbits? I would definitely love to see the rabbits suddenly making a random appearance in something like Captain Laserhawk on Netflix. That would actually be amazing. Thank you. But then, of course, probably one thing that you animation fans are very much anticipated for is Cuphead. When is the Cuphead series coming out? Well, unfortunately, we don't really have a release date for that yet. But what we do have, however, is actually our first reveal for King Dice. Yes, not only is King Dice going to be coming back, but he will be voiced by none other than Wayne Brady, including having a little preview of, press the wrong button, including a little preview of how he's going to be in the show. So let's have that little peek.
Alright, let's jump right in. Who will be the first lucky contestant to roll the dice? Will it be me? You? Yeah! It's your lucky day, sir. Get on up here and roll the dice. Don't touch.
So that was just our little taste of the Cuphead series, and already, that alone has already got a lot of people hyped up, and the fact that Wayne Brady is going to be in this already has me pretty excited. Oh, wait. It just says coming soon. Okay, I thought we would have a release date there. It's like, oh, does it say release date? No, it doesn't. Okay, never mind. But anyways, going back to the announcements, on top of Resident Evil Infinite Darkness, they have also revealed that there's also going to be a live-action Resident Evil series that's going to be coming out, in which, did they say the name of the show? Is it going to be Lance Reddick or... Anyways, no, it's just going to be a live-action Resident Evil series. And finally, they have also revealed a League of Legends series. Now, we have heard before that Netflix wants to make a series based on League of Legends, but we actually do have a little bit of a taste of our first look into their series called Arcane League of Legends, an upcoming animated series inspired by League of Legends. But through all of these announcements, there is one that is considered the crown jewel of all this. Easily one of the most anticipated shows, thanks to Geeked Week, is actually because of a series that will be brought to us by Kevin Smith. and it will be the series none other than Masters of the Universe. The fact that they put out a brand new trailer, and why don't we have a little preview of that? Let's actually have a watch of this.
Time after time, you try to take this castle, but you will never succeed, Skeletor.
Call your champion.
The trailer for possibly the biggest announcement of Netflix Geeked Week, alongside The Sandman. It is Masters of the Universe Revelation. Do we also have a release date? Yes, apparently part 1 is said to be coming out on July 23rd. And one thing I just want to comment immediately, I just gotta say, the trailer is nice, but let's be honest, with the soundtrack, Shrek did it better. I'm sorry, but I just need to say that, especially with all the action that's going on and using I Need a Hero, it just makes me think of that scene from Shrek 2. And I mean, it's gonna be very hard to go, to top what they have done in frickin' Shrek 2. I'm just saying. But overall, though, with all these announcements, if I would have to personally pick what I would say I'm most hyped up for, I'm most excited, of course, I definitely got to go with Cuphead. I'm definitely excited for that. I am a little bit curious about, I am curious about the Cowboy Bebop live action series. I am very cautious, though, especially after the disaster that they have done with Death Note, but I am a little bit curious with what they might do. And especially Masters of the Universe Revelation. Okay, I think this trailer really did convince me, because, they definitely exchanged the cheesiness of the 80s series, and, they're really taking itself seriously with this more anime-like approach, and really emphasizing a lot on the action. It definitely looks fantastic, and, even the voice acting from what we've heard so far, especially, with Mark Hamill as Skeletor, it really does sound top-notch, so that definitely is exciting right there. So, and again, it's pretty fascinating to see, really, the Netflix really gearing up with a lot more anime in their repertoire, especially going with some of the big ones, putting in some popular properties such as Resident Evil and Godzilla as well. That's actually kind of a fascinating addition that they have done there. And on top of that, even getting some prominent names as well, I gotta say, even with getting Zack Snyder for Twilight of the Gods, that's gonna be something that people will definitely keep an eye out for. And even Gundam as well, Gundam and Shaman King, of course, getting those popular properties onto Netflix, and even familiar names such as getting Yoshitaka Amano for Exception. Yeah, that's gonna be a freaky series, but still, getting a Final Fantasy designer to work on a horror-based anime series, that'll definitely get a lot of people's attention right there. So, it's fascinating to see Netflix really gearing up to be a lot more serious in terms of their anime content, and it shows how they want to be a legitimate competitor against Funimation and Crunchyroll, especially if the case would be if the merger between Crunchyroll and Funimation does become successful, and Netflix might end up getting a powerful enemy with Sony in terms of that industry right there. So yeah, they want to gear up and be ready for that moment if it does happen that Sony wins and actually does own Crunchyroll on top of Funimation as well. Like they want to be like Netflix wants to be like the rising star to compete against like the massive monopoly. Kind of like what we have just seen, you know, like it would just end up like this, where it would be like with Film Night being Sony with Funimation and Crunchyroll, and Netflix with their own repertoire, like represented by Will Vinton here. It would be something like that. But overall, though, a lot of these announcements are pretty interesting. They are pretty exciting. And there's definitely a good amount for everyone to be excited for. So, yeah, I'm definitely hyped up for some of these shows. And I'll definitely be curious to see some of them. I might even watch Masters of the Universe, actually. I've never really cared much for He-Man. But after seeing this trailer, I might potentially give this a watch. And with that said, I think it is time we'll go into the chat wall. And I want to ask you all, how do you feel about Netflix's Geeked Week? Among all the things that have been revealed, which ones are you the most anticipated for? Which ones are you the most excited for in terms of their announcements? Let me know what you think on that. Let's see now. What do we have here? The only projects I might take a peek at are Cuphead, Godzilla, and He-Man. Also, an anime made by an American. That's rare. Usually when someone in the West makes something that looks like anime, like Avatar: The Last Airbender and Korra, it's not officially declared an anime, but instead be labeled as anime influence. So that's kind of a surprise. By the way, knowing Mark Hamill is voicing Skeletor, he sounds exactly like the scientist from the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance. Yeah, definitely. Anyways, you could consider me hyped as heck. There's a lot of these that I am excited to see, but if I were to make a list of the ones I want to see the most, I would pick Masters of the Universe, Revelation, Castlevania, Captain Laserhawk, Make My Day, The Cuphead Show, and Arcane. Let's see what else we got. I'm very excited for a lot of these, bro. For me, some of my most anticipated projects are the Cuphead series, and of course, Masters of the Universe, Revelation. Oops, excuse me. I definitely think it's about time He-Man got a proper reboot, and the fact that Netflix is making it, and they did an amazing job with She-Ra, and the trailer looks awesome, so I'm very excited. Yeah, well, I mean, technically with She-Ra, that was more because of DreamWorks, but then again, the fact that it is from Netflix, it does give people a lot of trust that they would do a good job with the Masters of the Universe franchise, and so far with what we've been seeing with He-Man, yeah, that definitely does look epic. Let's see. My reaction to this, Cowboy Bebop live action series. If it does look bad, then yeet. The Sandman, I'm actually interested in seeing this series. League of Legends series, I never played League of Legends as a whole, but it looks promising. Bright Samurai Sword, the movie wasn't too bad, so I don't know about this. Exception, Jesus Christ, what is that thing? Twilight of the Gods, this looks like it's gonna be epic. Captain Laserhawk, cool. Cuphead, we really need a release date. And He-Man, let's go! Let's see now, what else we got? My picks are He-Man, Castlevania spin-off series, and maybe the Cuphead series, even though I never played the game, but I've heard it is hard to play. They all have potential and pretty interesting at the same time, so I hope it will be good upon seeing them in the future. Good luck to many of the projects that Netflix is presenting. Next up we got, I am the most excited for Cuphead, especially when they have an amazing entertainer like Wayne Brady as the voice of King Dice. Seriously, they could not have made a better casting choice with that one. Oh yeah, like that's definitely icing on the cake, the fact that it's like yay, we got a Cuphead series and Wayne Brady is gonna be in this. Oh my god, that is just, it's beautiful. It's beautiful, I tell you. Let's see now. Netflix seems to be really excited. Netflix seems to be really exciting about bringing more animated content to the whole world. Yes, even the anime ones. It's great to see Shaman King make a comeback after a long while. The Cuphead show looks amazing already. The He-Man trailer got me super hyped, and oh wow, Zack Snyder making an anime. Come on, what else can he not do? Well, you know, there are some things that I can say, but then again, it would end up being controversial and might piss off so many people. All right, I think I'm going to go and read one more comment before I go. Of all of these announcements, He-Man is the one I am most anticipated and looking forward to after seeing the trailer. The animation looks epic, especially for He-Man, and Mark Hamill as Skeletor has me hyped up as hell. Also, this is sadly where I make my departure, as my work schedule has me working on Monday, so I'll see you in future streams on YouTube. And with that said, that should do it for today's... wrong one, actually. That should do it for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. And with that said, I would like to say thank you all for watching, thank you all for listening, and once again, just a quick reminder that the schedule will be changed, where now the podcast will be moving on Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern, and the first episode to initiate that will be on June 21st, so I will join you then, and I will go and say thank you all so much for listening, thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, see you later, dudes!